did 3 games in 3 days. You've had a few days to kind of absorb what your team did. What are a couple of things you really liked that you guys got out of that trip?
I think we were really all in the Oregon game for the first time this year, of being excited, being together, trying to take care of everybody, take care of your teammate, playing harder during that point. So I like that. There's no question. I like the fact that we got competition 3 straight days against good teams, some teams really good, and I think that'll help us down the road. We were able to piecemeal some things together with the number of injuries we had, and still survived. I would have, no question, would have liked to win all 3 games, and that's always our goal. Still haven't shot the ball well. That's getting to be a concern, and the fact that we're still not playing at the pace that I want to play at is we've got to work on that, because our offense right now is not very good. But it was a very, very high-class tournament, high-class competition, and 3 straight days does tell you more about your team now. I just can't imagine anybody's going to go through a stretch like those 3 games and then have Ohio State and then at Virginia. That 5-game stretch has got to be as tough as anybody's had in the preseason for sure. So we'll find out even more after the next 2.
Alex, given the team's defensive field goal percentage has been pretty good, and the rebounding success, what's the issue with pushing tempo? It seems like those would be recipes.
Yeah, I think the defense field goal percentage, for the first time in 3 years, we've been able to defend around the rim. People don't get easy baskets against us all the time, knock on wood. But I think that part of it just takes care of itself. That helps your defensive field goal percentage. We haven't created as many turnovers. That always, of course, you're going to play at a faster pace, score easier, shoot a higher percentage if you turn turnovers into baskets, because some of those are going to be out on the court and there's no defense getting back for them. But we're just not making a transition. We're not running effectively enough by getting an initial threat against the other team by a strong low post presence. We've got to have, Tyler Hansbrough front of the rim and just tried to kill people. And then that sucked everybody back in, and then good shooters made a bunch of shots. So our big guys have to do a better job of running the floor, giving us that initial presence in. And the other thing, once we get down there, we're not doing a very job of the transition between, okay, we didn't get anything in primary or we didn't get anything in secondary. Okay, there's pick a number, 10 or 12 second stretch there that we've always just gone in and flowed straight into what we're doing. And we're not doing that. We're standing around and then waiting to make a call or to run the last second shot. And so that's the most irritating thing of any team I've ever coached, because we've always been able to keep you on your heels by, you got to defend primary, you got to defend secondary, now you got to defend without saying, okay, where's my man? And we haven't done a very good job. No, we've done a poor job of that.
How is Cole and Leaky injury-wise?
We'll have both of them practice today, some, but limited basis. We'll just see.
Is Garrison okay too with the eye?
Yeah.
It was the 3.
Yeah.
Any updates on like Anthony Harris or Jeremiah Francis stuff?
They're still doing half-court stuff, and we're trying to get them into more of the half-court stuff as well. They're doing full-court dummy, 5-on-0, but not anything full-court live.
I would assume that there aren't a whole lot of guys like Brandon that stick around and kind of wait their turn. So how has his game developed over the 4 years that he's been here?
He's gotten better in every phase of the game. Hopefully it'll continue to improve, because last year his field goal percentage, was particularly from three-point line, we're not shooting it very well. And I think he made 3 in one game, 2 in one game, maybe 2 and 3, 2 and 2, or 3, 2 and 3. Yeah, so we haven't had anybody do that, so I think that's helping us, because Andrew and Christian have been struggling, Justin has been struggling so much putting the ball in the hole from the perimeter, so he upgrades you there. He's better defensively, he's a better leader. I think he's matured a great deal over the 4 years. His body hadn't changed that much, to say the least, but everything else has improved.
What's his kind of patience to wait till his senior year to get?
Well, he was not a McDonald's All-American, so some people, you have realistic dreams, and some people don't have. But he was a very good prospect, I think, or we wouldn't have recruited him. But I also think that some kids have over-evaluation of their own abilities, and those guys usually leave too early. You have some guys who have a very good evaluation of their own abilities and leave at the proper time. And you have some guys who have a very good evaluation of their own abilities and stay around until they get to be there on the primetime stage more.
You mentioned his body hasn't changed much, and he seems to make it work. Did you all ever try to get him bigger than what he was?
Only every day for 4 years.
It just didn't work.
Don't all you guys wish you had that problem?
Is that kind of crazy not to put on much weight in 4 years?
It is, because God Almighty, we eat more food, you have more calories. It's mind-boggling. If whatever his recipe is, he could make a damn fortune on by selling it around the country.
What do you need to get more production out of those guys you mentioned, Keeling, Pierce, Playtech? Is just making shots?
It's an easy deal. Ball's got to go in. You can get mad at them. You can tell them they're okay, but bottom line is the ball's got to go in.
What do you expect to see out of Ohio State tomorrow? They've been pretty dominant so far and
Yeah.
dominated a pretty good Villanova team.
Well, Villanova hit us in the mouth in our scrimmage here early. They dominated us for us first 20 minutes, and so we know what they're capable of doing. And I think 25 or whatever it was at the end of the game, it might have been even more than that earlier in the game. So it scares you a little bit. They went against a good Cincinnati team is something you see. They shoot the ball better from the regular field goal percentage, three-point line, free throw line. Their defense in each one of those categories is probably better as well. So they're a very well-rounded team. They have a positive rebound margin, maybe not quite as much as ours, but that shows they have size and box out. They're playing at the same pace as we are when you look at the numbers, scoring 70, whatever it is a game. And yet we're trying really, really hard to play at a lot faster pace. So they're being more successful playing at their pace than we are trying to play at ours. But 7-0, top 10. Are they in the top 10?
6, one spot.
Okay, top 10 in the country. And, we knew it was going to be a tough challenge when we first got the schedule and saw the matchups. But I think they've proven themselves with what they've accomplished. And Chris just does a really, really nice job. Always has.
What are your thoughts on the ACC Big Ten Challenge? It's been going for 20 years now.
Don't have any. We play it, and I'm interested in how we do, but that's it. I can assure you I don't lay awake at night thinking about that. But while we're in the ball game, let's try to win the sucker and those kind of things. But so it is this the 20th year?
21st.
21st. Maybe y'all think about trying something else.
Roy, what's your
I mean, we got 21 conference games. Come on, it's 20 conference games in the ACC Big Ten, but it evidently provides great ratings and dollars. So they don't listen to basketball coaches anyway. They're sure as heck not going to listen to my suggestion.
Well, what's your relationship with Chris Holtman in general over the years?
I don't know Chris that well, but what I do know I really like, he hired Michael Lee, one of my former players, to work for him when he was at Gardner-Webb. I've had ties to Gardner-Webb when I was a high school coach, and then coaching at Butler, and then leaving from Butler to go to Ohio State. I followed him closely. Really think he's really a big-time coach. Tried to get him to join us, and it just didn't work out. We could have had a three-team thing of enjoy at the craps table, because I invited him, but he couldn't go, and I forget where we were now. Maybe it's some recruiting event or something. But no, I really like him and think that he's done a great job.
Is there anything different you have to do for a 9:30 tip? That's the latest, I think. In terms of team preparation.
He's just teeing this up for
I know it. Yeah.
I know the hits.
I'm just trying to figure out where the hell intelligence plays into it. I guess that's the biggest thing, trying to figure out why somebody thinks that's a good thing to do for any college athletic event. And it just shows again that, and it's nothing wrong, it's reality. TV dominates everything, but in case you can't figure it out, I freaking hate it. It's ridiculous. And you know what? We'll probably play again another one next week. And as long as I coach, we're going to play it because they dominate things. But nobody can tell me that this is an intelligent thing to do. But remember the mushroom story.
Next question.
How do you characterize the relationship between Armando and Garrison? It seems like they have a pretty good time together.
Well, I think they do have a good relationship. Garrison's really trying to help Armando a great deal every day, every play, every second, everything that goes on in practice, talking to him all the time, trying to lead by example. They're working together well. They talk well. I think it's something that's really, really good. And you admire Garrison for being willing to do that, too.
Roy, beyond Cole, when you've had a young point guard, what has been maybe the first thing you've always tried to do, and maybe what's the toughest thing in terms of getting on that wavelength with a young point guard?
Well, to understand how you can't have any lapses mentally as a point guard, you have to be on top of your game mentally at every second, because you're involved in calling the defense, you're involved in calling the offense. You got to know where everybody's supposed to be, get them in the right spot, to try to understand who's in foul trouble on the other team. So the enormity, how difficult a task it is for a guy coming in is the most overwhelming thing in the world. So hopefully they get a little bit of it, a little bit of it, a little bit of it. And their physical ability, physical talent is the easy part. I mean, hopefully they'll be pretty good or we wouldn't have recruited them in the first place. But it is something that I think Cole's really doing a nice job of. But it's Kobe one time said, "Coach, I just feel like I'm brain dead." But he still did all right, because you go back to your instincts and those kind of things. But I think it is the enormity of it and everything that you've got to be aware of. So the mental side of it is way, way, way more difficult than just the physical, what you're doing.
Is it even more so with Cole, with so much newness around him, as opposed to Kobe last year had a lot more established guys around him?
Yeah, because, last year we had Luke, Kenny, Cam. And Luke was a great leader and very vocal. Kenny was really vocal. Cam was not nearly as much as those guys, but still they were an insurance, a security blanket for Kobe. And right now Garrison, who's not as, as much of an extrovert as those guys were, he doesn't talk as much. Garrison and B-Rob to a much lesser extent. Those three guys have been successful for a long time. And so it was easy for Kobe to just look at him, shake his head yes, and trust what they said immediately. And we don't have anything like that on this team.
Roy, along those lines, you mentioned Oregon being the first game where everybody was kind of all in. Does that speak to maybe so many new roles for guys?
No, I think it speaks to the fact you got your tail beat the day before, and so automatically you're going to concentrate more the next day. Now, hopefully the good thing is they'll see the benefits of that and try to continue acting that way the whole time. But I think that it was directly related to getting your tails beat the day before.
Did you feel any better after, probably not, but I'll ask it anyway. Did you feel any better after what Michigan did to Gonzaga the next day? The level they're playing at?
I didn't have to know that by that game. I got to see it up close and personal, that kind of thing. But no, they're really good, and they can score at every position. They score inside, outside. They're very much a veteran team, and the guys that are young don't play young, but they got a veteran point guard that probes and probes and probes and makes good decisions. And his assist-to-error ratio, even after the end of that tournament's got to be off the charts. And I think that right there is a huge thing to have on your side in college basketball. But I was trying to tell you, I didn't watch one play of the Michigan-Gonzaga game. We were busy trying to evaluate how we had played and those kind of things, but I didn't need that.
Coach, what's your philosophy with early season, November basketball versus Michigan? You didn't call a timeout, so you're down 24. You put guys like Walker Miller, Brandon Huffman in. Just kind of what do you try to instill in your team when you let them go down that?
I told him it ticked me off. I think it's you guys and the public and everything make a lot of big deal out of that crap. We've done okay not calling many of those timeouts, and we're going to stick with it. But at that time, it got to be ridiculous. Guys, I can't say a lot if you're 1 for 15. Shoot the ball in. Do you think my guys want to miss? It was frustrating because I thought about calling timeout and said, this is not the way I want to teach. And I didn't do it, and they scored again, and we missed again, and they scored again, and we missed again. And finally, I just got tired of watching the clock because it was 12:29 the first time I looked up, and I said, we'll get a free one right here. And I always think that regardless of what the score is, we're going to have a close game at the end. Always. I don't care how many down we are, I think we're going to come back. And even at that point, in the huddle after I called the timeout, I still told them there's so much time left, we can win the game. And so I don't like them to rely on that. I think it's fool's gold. I mean, it's easy to change the score and change. I could play better on the defensive end, play better on the offensive end. So they don't need me to get over there and tell them that. And some coaches do, and that's okay. But that's not me. It's not who I am, and it's never going to change because, again, why would I change something? If you guys can convince me that I'm a sorry-ass coach and should do it differently, then I'm still not going to believe you. So you can't convince me. I guess you could say that, but you're still not going to convince me. I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with. But I do think that putting in different guys, I mean, you talk to every one of my assistant coaches, they thought I was going to get 5 different guys and take those 5 out and put 5 more in, but we didn't have 5 over there that I felt comfortable with to take those 5 guys out. We played Duke here one time a long, long time ago, and I took 5 guys out, put in 5 substitutes. My high school coach said there's no way in the world I could do that. And I happen to have a great deal of respect for him, but he just said he couldn't do that. Well, I can do that, but didn't like that. I looked down on the bench and I didn't see 5 that I wanted in the game at that time.
The kids know that you don't call out timeouts, so when you
If they're alive.
When you do call one, do you notice something different in them when they come to the bench as opposed
Well, it's
to
one of the
when there's a TV
reasons that I
timeout
don't do it,
or-
because I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic. I don't give blankety blank what the game is. I'm not going to panic. And I think that if I call a timeout, they think, oh my gosh, what's happening, kind of thing. I just told them I was tired of standing there watching them score and us not. And I called a timeout in a national championship game against Illinois in 2005, and I said, I don't have anything to say. I just thought I was going to tell you guys how much fun it's going to be. We play our butts off these last 4 minutes. We're going to be national champions. I mean, my son could have done that. And he hadn't coached at this level, and he's coaching now. They're young kids, and he's having the time of his life. But if he were to come in and say he wanted to change profession, my wife would shoot my butt first and then him. But yeah, I think that my guys, I'm not going to panic. I mean, I don't care what the score is. I think we can always come back.
I recall last year you expressed your concerns after the Michigan game, after that loss. I know the concerns are different than this year, but do they weigh any differently? Do you worry more this year than you did last year?
It was completely different because last year was a very veteran team. There's no way a good veteran team should have played like that, period. I don't care what you are, where you are, who you play, and where you play it. And that was a sorry excuse for a game. And this year it was completely different with a very new team. Never been in those scenarios, so I look at those 2 completely different. Somebody said, well, that was so much better than last year at Michigan because you came back. And I said, Jesus Christ, both of them are still losses. Both of them are still butt kicks. And so for me, completely different. I looked at last year's personnel, last year's team, and what it was going to face down the rest of the season, and knew that we had to do a lot of things differently. This year, completely new team, so many of you guys, and we got guys going in and out of the game, and that hadn't been in that situation before. And I liked the fact that we didn't come back, but I expected us to. I mean, I really do. I don't care. Everybody is one game we played. Was it North Carolina State here? And we're down 10-0 in our own building. Guys, it could have gotten to 100, and I never would have called timeout. But it worked out all right.
Coach KJ played some.
I'd probably left before 100, though.
Last one, and we'll get Armando in here.
KJ played some good minutes for you against Oregon. What did you see in the development of his game?
Well, it was out of necessity. We didn't have Leakey because he had only played early in the game. He made one really good, simple play that was really good for us, a little bounce pass for a layup. I've given him a few moments in times with the white team during practice, and he's been through our stuff in practice much more so than Leakey or Colt, either one. And so it was something that I felt like I should do at that moment, and I think he did some good things for us, and he'll get some more opportunities in practice every day to make us feel even more comfortable for him.